Hi folks, my name is Conor Ryan and I'm from the Computer Science and Information Systems Department at University of Limerick. Today I'm going to talk about my experiences with recording and delivering some of my modules online. Like a lot of people, I was concerned about keeping the students engaged, particularly the first years. So I decided to really embrace the fact that we could do some creative things with this new medium that we're now forced to operate in. There are 5 key things I did with my TAs to keep the enthusiasm up. First, we had very clear branding. We went to some fairly extreme lengths to hook the students' interest. I really tried to get across my enthusiasm for the subject, and we embraced the technology that we were using to record these lectures, as well as the fact that we could really take our time to build our lectures. The final thing we did, and I must admit I was surprised myself that we managed to get this to happen, is that we were able to secure a celebrity endorsement for 2 first-year modules. This is broadly the same teaching team that won the UL Teaching Team Award in 2019, and that was a module we were very proud of because we put so much work into it. Here's a picture of us at the start of that semester, and here's what we looked like after it. Exhausted, but happy with what we had done. This year, of course, we had to change everything and move everything online. Let's talk about branding. Rather than doing all my lectures solely from inside this grey void, I wanted to do videos for approximate YouTube. So I kept them relatively short, each about 5 to 15 minutes, and each had its own titles and credits. I also added a sidebar like this to each lecture, so that each module had its own. This meant that each time I was on screen, it was immediately clear what module this was. And to be consistent with UL's logo, I used the recommended colours so that my colour scheme was consistent with the university's. The big thing, of course, was to grab the students' attention. I did this by really ramping up my love of the material I teach. The key topic in my first year module is lambda calculus, and here's my impassioned pitch to them in that very first lecture. Lambda calculus is such a key enabling concept for computer science that if you excel at this module, it will change your life. You'll have access to untold riches. You'll get to work on all the best projects. You'll get to date attractive people. You'll even get to hang out with cool celebrities. However, if you fail, your life will be a pit of despair. You will end up working for a bunch of accountants, reading and enjoying 50 Shades of Grey, as well as its highly underrated sequel, 50 Shades Darker. You see, you get Christian Grey's backstory. You find out all about his relationship with Elena Lincoln and how that made him the man he is today. You spend your time hanging out with sad losers and living off magic beans. Hopefully that set the tone, but I also wanted to show them that there's a serious side to this too. So I gave them the history of some of my background. People are often curious about what it's like to work in a startup. We had 25% female employees, which is quite high for an electronics startup. We had people from 4 different countries. The spread of ages went from 24 to 78. And this shows it doesn't matter where you come from, what gender you are, or how old you are. If your technical ability is good enough, you can succeed in a startup. And the one thing we all had in common, everyone was an expert in, you guessed it, lambda calculus. Well, except one. That's Graham. And we don't talk about Graham anymore. And if you're still not convinced about lambda calculus, take a look at this clip from an episode of The Big Bang Theory from the final season.
Okay, well, let me just say one more thing. Lambda calculus. And if that wets your whistle, you know where to find me. Woo.
So if it's good enough for Dr. Sheldon Cooper, it's good enough for us. And then, to remind them that I expected them to work hard at this module, I told them about the learning triangle. I'm going to introduce you to the learning triangle. This is a result of studies that have shown how much material people retain from various learning activities. First, we have lectures. On average, people retain just 5% of what they hear. Imagine it, the only thing that some people will remember from this first lecture is that Christian Grey's first girlfriend was named Karen. And to prove my point, it wasn't even Karen, it was Elena Lincoln, Christian's mother's best friend. So, by the time we finished our first lecture, I think they got the tone that I was going for. Throughout the semester, I used simple animation and sound effects to inject fun into the lectures. For example, in the lecture where we finally got to see lambda calculus in action, which is about halfway through the semester, we introduced it like this. How are we going to make this happen? Yes, finally, the moment is here. Lambda calculus has arrived. Here's what a lambda expression looks like. We also had some fun animations to liven up some otherwise serious discussions. So the application will go away, the lambda will go away, because they're not needed anymore because they've done their job. So we bring that in, all that stuff disappears, leaves us with 3. Now I know, this was super exciting, so let's watch an action replay. Let's put that 3 back up. Watch it again. Beautiful. One more time. Let's go for one that has 2 parameters. We even had our own not so subtle ways to draw extra attention to certain things. Now this, I think, is worthy of a huzzah. Let's take a look at this huzzah situation for a moment. In this module, we use the word huzzah to demonstrate our excitement at a particularly interesting concept or unusually satisfying application of an algorithm. The size and punctuation of the huzzah indicates a level of excitement. So, earlier on, when we were parsing prefix, we had a little huzzah. That's because, while parsing is undoubtedly a fun and rewarding endeavour, it's not really that exciting. Simple algorithms capable of complexity, like the stack algorithm, on the other hand, well, they're worthy of that larger huzzah and deserve to be celebrated. When you see a huzzah like this, and a concept or algorithm just explained doesn't seem worthy of it to you, you should rewind and play it again over and over. Soon you will see the light and find yourself declaring, huzzah! Later in the module, when things start to get more complex, you'll see even larger huzzahs. In general, as the font size and use of exuberant punctuation for a huzzah increases, you will know that increasingly exciting and wonderful things are happening. Who knows? Someday we may see the fabled purple 320-point triple exclamation mark huzzah. And I made sure there was plenty of callbacks to that very first lecture. Now, proving for the simple case, and that's often trivial. Okay, even this idiot here, he can knock over a domino. However, proving it for a general case, now that can be a different level. That's more these guys' kind of speed. It really helped that we're having fun with the material, and students often reference this in smaller groups. Particularly a character that we introduced later on, Restful Bunny. Now this was a tough segment. There's a lot of new material here, and this is a very different way of thinking and approaching problem solving. So to relax ourselves after all of that, let's look at this relaxing picture of a bunny. That's it for this segment. I very strongly advise you to go back through that example and remember, the bunny will be back. And the bunny did come back in the very next lecture. We finished up the last segment looking at this restful picture of a rabbit. It turns out rabbits play an important role in the definition of recursion. This goes all the way back to Fibonacci, famous mathematician and rabbit fancier from the 12th century. For the most part, the technologies we use are freely available. All the animations were done with Keynote, which is the Apple equivalent of PowerPoint. I recorded and edited my lectures using Camtasia. This is a great tool, although it does cost about €150. There's also free screen recording software. For example, there's UBO for the PC, and QuickTime, which actually comes free with the Mac. Editing your own video takes some getting used to. I found it a bit off-putting to see my own face staring back at me in the editor. I was initially quite self-conscious about it, but after a few weeks got used to it. I soon even found myself getting quite cocky. Finding myself thinking, man, I'm really rocking this pandemic hairstyle. Where it really shone through for me though, was that I could demonstrate code and output on my own computer. Here are some examples from a different module, which is about web development. It was a different cohort, but these poor students were also subjected to my love of Jedward. Just to show you how fantastic it actually is, let's look at it live in a browser. So here we have our two heroes. Now that page doesn't look exactly the same as one I just showed, and that's because I've got it blown up. So let's make that page a bit smaller. Now watch what happens to the picture when I do this. So their picture gets smaller, and now you can see the lower ones coming in down here as well. Okay, so we have a fairly simple page here. Now obviously, a better question would be, how much do you love Jedward? But for the sake of this example, we keep it simple. We have this picture. If the person clicks on yes, we have a pop-up. If for some crazy reason the person wanted to click on no, here's what happens. Before I even get a chance to press it, it moves. Now hopefully you can see what kind of events I'm using to make this happen. But let's look at this code. One very nice thing Camtasia can do is record your iPad screen. This is great because sometimes it's easier to just draw something out. So first of all, we're going to lay out our screen. So we have our input string. And for this, I'm going to use 2 plus 3 multiplied by 4. We're going to have the same layout that we did on the earlier examples. And yes, my handwriting is terrible and I apologize. So the first thing we do is group everything together in brackets. In addition to Camtasia and Keynote, I also use some specialized tools. When I record myself, I use this camera, which is a Sony a6400, and this microphone, a Blue Yeti. The sound on the camera isn't great, so I connect that microphone directly onto my computer and record it separately onto that using Audio Hijack, and then use Adobe Premiere Pro to synchronize the audio and video. Finally, I use Adobe After Effects for the credits. However, about 90% of the content was created just using Keynote and Camtasia, so it's quite a low cost barrier to entry. So with all this talk of Jedward in that first semester, imagine the commotion I caused when I showed this at the end of that semester. Well done on getting through the semester. That was a really tough introduction to university life. I was so impressed at how people handled it, I was telling these guys about it.
What's up, CS4221? I'm John.
I'm Edward.
And together we are Jedward.
And you have the coolest teacher
The
ever.
coolest. What an absolute legend.
Conor
He's getting
Ryan.
us to make this message for all you guys for being in his class.
Yes, he said this semester has been incredible. He loves you so much and you're surviving all those computer science. You're all geniuses. And don't forget, Lambda calculus is incredible. I think I said that correct. But if I didn't,
Doesn't matter.
Jepic calculus is incredible.
CS4221. Look after yourselves. Stay Jepic.
Okay, I think that warrants that fabled 320 point, triple exclamation mark, purple huzzah. The response I got from the students at Christmas was great, and I really doubled down on everything in the second semester, and in week 12 I got to show them this. I'm confident that you guys are going to be great in these presentations, that back on Paddy's Day, when I was having a Zoom beer with some friends, I mentioned this class of them, and some of them were so excited about it, they wanted to wish you best of luck.
Get a good St.
Very
Patrick's
good.
Day.
We're on the Late Late Show next week, 26th.
Yeah.
Okay, make sure you talk to CS482 on the Late Late Show, boys.
100%. Sing true colours to the whole crew. Keep expressing your true colours.
No, he's fine, John.
Okay.
CS, what is CS24?
Oh my god, guys. CS4082.
I'm just not, I've been doing this since 1 o'clock. I'm so on, Conor. Give us a moment, Conor. Jeez, man.
Alright, one last try. CS482, best of luck.
All right, here we go. Hello, CSA42, you absolute legends. Look after yourselves in the presentation. You can do it. We're sending you all the luck in the world. It's St. Patrick's Day, and what better day to wish you all the luck in the world. Keep making your own luck and keep doing your own thing. Take it easy.
Fantastic, guys. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Bye, legends.
No problem.
Alright, great job, guys. And that's it. I hope some of what I've shown here has been helpful, but the single most important piece of advice I can give is just be yourself as much as possible. We all love the material we deliver, and the more that comes across, the better the students will respond. Here's one email I got from that class. So thank you for your time. I'll leave you with the end credits from CS4221 of Semester 1, where we show all of our TAs. Happy Christmas, keep listening to Jedward, and above all, stay safe.